All right, so look, right? A lot of people feel as though gangs and violence go hand in hand. And they feel as though, and this is strictly from a question from my audience who asked, if gangs never existed, would the violence still be as high as it is today? Without the gangs, coming from a city like Baltimore where we averaging over 300 murders per year, if it was without the gangs, would that still exist? Do y'all think so?
Yes.
You think
Yes.
so?
Absolutely. See, what you gotta remember is our gang problem may have started 2000, late 90s. And we
Mm-hmm.
still had 300 homicides in the 90s, bro. Right?
True shit.
And what I really believe it is, and the major problem, it's the shit that we see on Fox Investigates, bro. They have done a really good job with miseducating our kids,
Right.
right? Another thing, people don't understand how violence has been caused throughout our city for the last 20, 25 years, even with this lead paint poison settlements and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? You taking 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and you putting 200 and 300,000 in their hand, $1 million,
Straight in their hands.
nine
They
hundred
fucked it
thousand
up.
dollars. And what was happening was these little kids, bro, were going on a block buying 10 dudes cars, you digging what I'm saying, a bunch of guns and a bunch of drugs. And this was happening repetitiously for the last 25 years. Now, I'm not saying it's just the lead paint pours, but let's look at that. They miseducated. They
Mm-hmm.
living in poverty, right? We got lead paint poison victims. And we ain't talking about the ones who got the money. We talking about ones who didn't even get diagnosed. You dig
Right.
what I'm saying? With lead paint poisoning. We got a lot of mental health. We got a lot of trauma. Here it is, you take a kid from one of these housing projects. Oh, he already grew up poor. On top of that, his mother sell pussy because she's a crackhead. People who sell
Mm-hmm.
drugs outside of his house all day, every day. On top of that, his mother is abusive. On top of that, he might got an uncle who touched him. So I'm talking about a girl. It could be a little girl or a little boy. You dig what
Father
I'm
locked
saying?
up or dead.
Yeah. You dig what I'm saying? Father's not at home. You dig what I'm saying? The system, the systematic racism and all of that stuff that's in place, right? To oppress black men has been the reason for this. Bro, do you realize you go get a nigga off the block, give him a kingpin charge? You know what I mean? Niggas sitting in jail, right? Got kingpin drug charges or major drug cases, right? And they ain't killed nobody. They just got
Yeah.
big
But
drug
the fucked
cases
up
where they
shit,
was
the
making
fucked up
money.
shit, the killer's home. The killer's
If
all
you
home.
take if you take this dude off this block, do you understand how you unstabilizing some of these neighborhoods by sweeping in with the feds and locking all these guys up for just selling drugs?
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? Because everybody's not killing
They're
people.
locking
It's
up
a
the
small
potential
percentage
leaders.
of people who kill people, bro. It's
Say
a
that again,
very
Cardi.
small percentage of people who's really committing murders. But it's a really big percentage of people who sell drugs. You
They
dig what I'm saying?
targeted because they the smart nigga. They are the leader. They are the alpha in that little circle of a network. They targeted our pre-leaders before they can grow, turn things into a positive the long way. That's what they doing. They targeting
Yeah,
all those people.
real shit.
Yes.
You know
I,
what I'm
I mean,
saying? Because
it's
they is
definitely a
the
setup.
intelligence in the neighborhood. The
Now,
niggas that know how
I
to move without catching cases, you know what I'm saying? They gonna be able to shake hands with other races, and it's different type of things going on for them. You know what I'm saying? And
and now I
it's a
believe
lot
this.
to handle when they don't know nothing. So I get what you're saying, but I know they definitely specifically targeted. You know?
Now the
Yeah.
answer to these problems is this: every neighborhood, every neighborhood needs their own resources, bro. Every neighborhood. If we break these neighborhoods down, right? and we look at it from a community development standpoint, right? Let's just take a housing project. So let's just take Gilmore Homes. We know in Gilmore Homes it might be 300 or 400 residents, right? Maybe 500, maybe 900. I don't know. But let's just say if it was 500 residents, 50 of them are elderly, right? Maybe 200 of them may be women between the ages of 20 and 30, right? And then you might have a whole bunch of 40-something, 50-somethings in there too. Why don't we create community cohorts, bro? Right? Where instead of these people going into nursing homes and all that kind of stuff, why don't we have a community response team to the needs of the older folks? Why don't we have a community response team that cleans the neighborhood? Why don't we have a community response team that beautifies the neighborhood, plant trees? And these will be jobs that's developed inside of the neighborhood. You dig what I'm saying? We got to figure out how we can have truly thriving communities. Because what people don't realize is if I get a kid from Gilmore Projects and I try to send him to the East Baltimore Career Center, you dig what I'm saying? Or the Northwest Career Center, he has to ultimately leave out his neighborhood. Right? So some of these people feel like they in danger when they moving through other neighborhoods because they might have did something, or their cousin, or their cousin did something, or their brother did something. And you're not safe in these times if a dude know that's your cousin and your cousin shot out man. He still ain't safe. So we got to figure out how we make thriving communities. Right? If we was over East Baltimore, we know what PVG, Douglas, the New Chapel Hill, Perkins, and Flag at, right? It should be a cohort of services right there in that neighborhood for medical, for mental health treatment, for employment development. You dig what I'm saying? For all of that stuff. It needs to be in the community. You shouldn't have to get on the bus to go get a service that should be
right
like provided in your community.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. That's what we got to do as a community. You feel me? And that's what we got to do as the OGs of the neighborhoods and to all of the gang members out there. Because this is dedicated to y'all. This episode is really dedicated to anybody that's ever been in a gang, know about gang. You feel me? Anybody that's affected by it, which is all of us. You feel me?
All of us.
Not to say that your gang affiliation is what's wrong or right. You feel me? Because that's not our choice. What we saying is it's time for motherfuckers to set up, to shut up or put up. You feel me? It's time for motherfuckers to get out there and actually make moves for their community because it's deeper than just your flag of I want to break law. I want to do violence. You feel me? You got an actual person on here that knows about gangs. I mean, that's actually affiliated with gangs. You got another person on here that knows about gangs. You got another one on here that knows about this shit as well. You know, and it's a system of, you know, we have come to the conclusion that it's just being miseducated. You feel me? Motherfuckers don't know, not having the resources. It's the same thing. So if we talking about gang life, that shit don't really matter why a motherfucker chose to be in it, but the fans wanted to know and the listeners wanted to know why and why it's such a big thing here. But we coming up with a lot of understanding today of why the fuck it is here. And it's here simply because of niggas is not educated correctly. Niggas ain't
mental health trauma.
Exactly. Don't have the resources, trauma. It's all of those things that we thought it was in the beginning. You feel me? It's literally everything. Some niggas is just scared. Some niggas, you got to be a part of it.
Self-hate too. You know what I mean? Like you think you hate other niggas, but you kind of just
hate
your
yourself.
It's just, yo, this shit is so deep. You know what I mean?
But we got kids out here, right? We got kids out here that let their pants hang off their ass, bro, just so they can look like the other kids.
Right. So we and that was one of the biggest things too. I forgot which one of y'all said it. You feel me? With the following thing. It's just part of what, and it's what Baltimore has always been, but gangs is trickled in all states. So it's like everybody is really following some shit. And then you got hip hop making that shit so glorifying. Well, hip hop is glorifying that shit and making it seem like it's something that it's not. You feel me? Versus now you have niggas that want to be in it just because the killer rapper talked about it. versus niggas like Cardi that wanted to be in it because he thought that he was doing positivity for the neighborhood and it actually was a revolutionary type of movement. You feel me? So you got people from all aspects. And when you talk about gangs, I think one of the biggest misconceptions to the world is probably thinking that they're all bad, thinking that every nigga within that gang is just a bad nigga. So this ain't one of those things that we trying to sit there and down with people for their choices. What we saying is whatever the fuck your choice is, make sure you start moving for your community the way that it's supposed to be.
And that's the thing, bro.
It's what needs to fucking change. You feel me? That's what changes the gang. Niggas not being affiliated with gangs ain't gonna change the violence that happens in our city. Niggas not being affiliated with gangs ain't gonna change the fact that niggas are still starving, so they still gonna sell drugs, they still gonna rob, they still gonna steal, they still gonna do all of these fucking things because they're starving with no resources. So the biggest part that niggas is worried about is these gang flags and shit like that. All right, cool. If that's what you want to waste your energy on and feel as though that's a worry, but the biggest worries out here, some of the biggest worries is things that we can fix within our own community. You feel me? And those is where we really got to step up.